The arena was silent. Thousands of aliens sat in their seats, watching the center stage where the test was about to begin. Screens hovered above them, showing every angle. Cameras were ready. The Galactic Combat Force had brought in their strongest warrior, General Kriv, a four-armed giant from the Brantech species. And across from him stood a young human woman. Her name was Ayla. She looked calm, too calm. No armor, no weapons. Just simple black clothes and soft boots. Her hair was tied back and her eyes didn't blink. A Brantech officer laughed loudly. "This is a joke. You send a soft human to face Kriv?" Another voice whispered. She volunteered. "They say she's fast." "Fast?" the officer scoffed. "Kriv moves faster than lasers," a loud voice echoed in the arena. "Begin in 3021 ... Kriv rushed forward. The crowd leaned in. The cameras zoomed. But something strange happened. Kriv was on the ground. Everyone froze. Not a single person saw Ayla move. The replay screens flickered on. Frame by frame, the footage showed Kriv preparing to strike. But Ayla didn't move a muscle. No kick, no punch, no dodge, and yet Kriv had collapsed unconscious. What happened? Someone gasped. Replay zoomed in again, using the highest frame rate. Still nothing. "She didn't react," said one of the alien scientists. "She acted before the move even started." General Voren, leader of the combat force, stood up slowly. His eyes never left the human. "Bring her in," he ordered. Later, in a bright lab filled with blinking machines, Ayla sat calmly in a chair. Electrodes were attached to her arms and temples. Alien scientists ran tests, whispered, and stared at the screens in disbelief. "She doesn't show any signs of enhancement," one whispered. "No implants, no cyber upgrades." Another muttered. "Then how did she do it?" Bjorn stepped inside. "Ayla, how did you beat Kriv?" She looked at him quietly, then replied, "I saw it." "Saw what?" "His move, before he made it." Varun narrowed his eyes. "That's not possible. The brain doesn't work like that." "Maybe yours doesn't," she said softly. Silence fell in the room. Vioan leaned closer. "Are you saying you can read minds?" "No," she replied. "I don't read. I feel it. The moment before action. The energy changes. I move before your thought becomes movement. That's not science. Not yet." The council met the next day. "She must be a spy," one alien shouted. "Or a weapon made by Earth." "But Earth doesn't have this technology," another argued. "They just joined the galactic community a few years ago." Vioran slammed his hand on the table. "I don't care how. I want to know what she is. If she's faster than thought, then she's a threat." Back in her room, Ayla sat on her bed. Her heart was calm, her breath slow, but in her mind, she heard echoes, not voices. Moments. Like something inside her was remembering or warning. A guard entered her room. "You're wanted for another test." She followed silently, this time. The arena was smaller, private, no crowd. 3 alien warriors stood in a triangle. One carried a blade. One had a plasma whip. The third used sonic strikes. All of them were top-class speed fighters. "We'll strike randomly," the leader said. "You won't know where or when. If you dodge, we stop." She nodded. A red light blinked on. Then 3 weapons flew at her from different angles. In less than a second, all 3 aliens were on the floor. The whip was sliced in half. The sonic cannon sparked. The blade lay bent. Ayla hadn't moved more than 2 steps. Bjorn was watching. His voice was low. "I don't believe it. It's not speed, it's prediction." One of the scientists whispered, "No, it's something else. Our systems didn't detect movement until after the event. It's like she bends time." Bjorn stared at Ayla. "What are you?" She looked at him. Her voice was still soft. "I don't know. But I think I'm remembering now." "Remembering what?" Things that haven't happened yet. Viorin felt a chill. That night, Ayla stood near the observation window. The stars outside shimmered. A shadow approached her, a quiet figure in black. "I came to kill you," he said. She didn't turn. "But you won't," she answered. Assassin froze. "How did you know?" "You already decided not to." He backed away slowly. She turned to face him. "You're not afraid of me. You're afraid of what I remind you of." "What's that?" "That the universe is much bigger than you thought, and maybe, just maybe, someone made me to warn you." "Warn us about what?" Her eyes flicked toward the stars. "They're coming." Viorin watched the footage later, confused. "Who is coming?" No one answered. Ayla was gone. Disappeared from a locked room. But in the center of the chamber, left behind, was a single phrase written on the floor. "The test has begun." Lieutenant Saren was trained to notice everything. He was a guard for the High Council. No one entered or left the control sector without his eyes on them. He never blinked during duty, not when it mattered. But this time he did, just once, a small blink, and when his eyes opened, his weapon was gone. He stood frozen, confused, looking at his empty hands. The weapon was a double-barreled shock rifle. It could not be dropped by accident. It was locked to his palm by a magnetic grip. Even if he fainted, it would stay with him. Now it was missing. And Ayla, the human girl, stood 10 steps away, holding it. "You dropped it," she said softly. I didn't," he stuttered. "That's not possible." "You blinked," she replied. "That's all I needed." He called for backup. Sirens wailed. Ayla did not move. Moments later, 3 armed guards rushed in. Saren pointed at Ayla. "She took my weapon. Somehow she put the rifle down." A guard shouted. Ayla placed it gently on the floor. One of the guards stepped forward. "Did you steal it, human?" "No," she said calmly. "I borrowed it to make a point." Saren's voice shook. "What point?" "That you're still thinking in slow time." Ayla was brought to a new room. It was not a cell, not a lab. It was something in between. Cameras lined the walls. Observation panels showed her every move. Viorin entered the room. "You're not supposed to be free," he said. "You were under containment." "I didn't leave," Ayla replied. "You moved the cameras away." "That was your blink," Viorin frowned. "That doesn't explain the weapon. I never stole it. I simply arrived at the moment it wasn't held." "That's nonsense." "Is it?" she asked. "Or are you still thinking like the rest of them?" Viorin turned to the scientist beside him. "Has she been modified?" "No," the scientist answered. "Her body is fully natural. Her brain is unusual, but not artificial. However what?" "There's something strange in the scans. Her brain waves change before the external event happens." "What do you mean?" "She reacts before anything actually occurs. It's like she's predicting the future or causing it." The council met again that night. "This girl is dangerous," said one of the leaders. "She must be controlled." "But how?" asked another. "She moves before we even think." Viorin stepped forward. "We need to study her closer. There's something we're missing. She isn't just fast. She's bending the rules around her." "Then we must create rules she cannot bend," the elder said. "Let's test her against the Sargon sphere." A silence followed. The Sargon sphere was not a weapon. It was a field, a space of energy that bent time into knots. Inside it, no one could move faster than thought. Not even think ahead. If she moved inside that, then they would know. She wasn't reacting. She was something else. The next day, Ayla entered the test chamber. It was a white room, empty except for a glowing orb floating in the center. A voice called from above. "This is the Sargon sphere. Inside it, time is slow. If you can move here, it means time doesn't rule you." Ayla nodded once and stepped inside. Instantly, The world around her slowed. The lights flickered, and the air felt thick. She could feel the weight of every breath. Then a metal dart flew at her from the wall. She didn't move. The dart stopped. Mid-air. Time paused. Everyone watching gasped. Yla tilted her head slowly and spoke one word: return. The dart flew back, not forward, and embedded itself in the wall it came from. Outside the chamber, alarms started to flash. Systems began to crash. All data feeds failed. Shut it down. Someone shouted, "Shut it down now." But Ayla was already stepping out of the sphere. Calm, unbothered. Aaron met her at the door. "How did you do that?" She looked at him carefully. "Time is not a straight line. You treat it like a road, but I've learned it's more like water. Water, it flows, and I can feel its direction change." He stared at her in silence. Later, in a hidden part of the station, two agents met in secret. "She's breaking their understanding of time," one said. "She's not alone," whispered the other. "What do you mean?" "There are others. We found traces. Earth had a program called Dreamwake, but the files were erased. And Ayla? She may not remember it, but she was part of it. What's the goal?" The agent leaned close. "To create someone who doesn't react fast, but moves before reactions even exist." Meanwhile, Ayla sat alone, staring at the stars. A voice came through the wall. "Do you feel anything strange, Ayla?" She replied without turning, "Yes, something is waking up inside me." "Fear?" "No," she said softly. "A memory. But it hasn't happened yet." The voice paused. "You mean a future?" Ayla's answer was barely a whisper. "No, a beginning." Just then, all lights in the station blinked off for a second. Only Ayla's room stayed lit. Then the systems returned. Everyone else called it a glitch. Ayla knew better. The blink never happened. The sandstorm on Mars had lasted 4 days. Red winds swept across the surface, hiding everything in thick dust. But when the storm cleared, something strange was uncovered. A dark metal structure, buried deep beneath the surface. The Martian dig team stared in silence. "It's not natural," said Commander Rao. "Look at the edges. That's human construction." Another scientist frowned. "But Earth never built anything this deep." Commander Rao knelt beside the exposed corner. "Get scanners, now." Within hours, the team uncovered the entrance. It was shaped like a triangle and covered with symbols, not alien symbols, but human writing, old writing, military codes. "What's this say?" Someone asked. The technician wiped off more dust and read the faded label. "Project Dreamwake, entry SELEDino." One spoke. That name Dreamwake had only been mentioned in whispers. Some said it was a myth, a failed human experiment. Others said it was never meant to be remembered. Rao activated his Commander Rao to Galactic Council. "We've found something under Mars. I think it's connected to the human girl." Back on the orbital station, Ayla sat in a quiet room. She stared at the wall as if listening to something far away. Aaron entered. He didn't speak at first. He just watched her. Then finally, he asked, "Does the name Dreamwake mean anything to you?" Ayla blinked slowly. "Not yet." He tossed a file on the table. "We found something under Mars. A sealed base. Human origin. Dreamwake was written across the door." Ayla looked down at the file. Her hand touched the surface, and for a brief second, the lights flickered. "What is Dreamwake?" she asked, almost to herself. "That's what I need you to tell me." They took her down to the red planet the next day. The old base was colder than space. Inside were frozen halls, broken screens, and black steel doors. It had power once. It didn't anymore. But Ayla's steps echoed as if the walls remembered. "This place," she whispered, "feels like I've been here before." Aaron watched closely. "Do you remember?" Ayla placed her hand on the wall. Her eyes closed. Flashed out a bright white room. Children. Tests. Wires and skin. Voices. She's reacting before time registers. Another flash. A girl, herself, locked inside a glass chamber. This one's different. Keep her asleep. Ayla pulled her hand back. Her breath was sharp. I was made here, she said. Not born. Made. Viorin looked stunned. You're saying you were created by humans? Before the world knew the galaxy existed? Yes, she said. They knew. A long time ago. In the center of the base, they found a sealed pod. Inside was a dead body, a human male, frozen in stasis. His ID tag read, Dr. Harlan Reyes, chief of Dreamwake. Next to the pod was a message, recorded in shaky video. Ayla pressed play. Dr. Reyes appeared, old and tired. His voice cracked. If anyone finds this, if she finds this, then I've failed. To stop it. He looked directly into the camera. Her name is Ayla. She was our most successful subject. She moved before thought, predicted before logic. She wasn't supposed to wake up. He paused, then whispered, if she has, you must decide. Use her to survive ... or let her destroy the stars. The message ended. Everyone turned to Ayla. Her voice was cold now. He kept me asleep for decades. Because he was afraid of what I might become. Viorin stepped forward. And what will you become now? Ayla didn't answer. Instead, she walked to a control panel and placed her palm on it. The entire base came to life. Lights flickered on. Air systems hummed. Hidden doors unlocked. And one massive screen lit up with a countdown. Activation. 72 hours. Viorin shouted. What is this? Ayla turned, eyes glowing faintly. The second phase. What does that mean? I'm not the only one they made, she replied. There were others. The scientists behind them gasped. More like her? No, Ayla said. Not. Like me, different, stronger in other ways. Some didn't survive. Some might still be dreaming. And now? Viorin asked. She looked up at the countdown. Now they might wake. As the team returned to the surface, the red sky above started to darken again. Dust storms returned, thick and angry. Ayla looked toward the stars. Something was changing. Not outside, but inside her. For the first time, she felt fear. Not for herself, but for what she might remember next. Behind her, one last door opened in the base. A voice echoed softly. Dreamwake complete. Subject 1, fully online. And, far away, deep inside the planet, something else opened its eyes. Ayla stood in the control room of the Mars base, her eyes locked on the glowing countdown. It ticked down second by second. The number was smaller now. 58 hours remaining. Behind her, Commander Viorin stepped forward slowly. What happens when the timer ends? Ayla didn't look at him. Something wakes. Or tries to. Another version of you. He asked. No, she whispered. Worse, one they couldn't control. One they buried so deep, even I wasn't supposed to know about it. The lights flickered again. The base was fully alive now, like a living thing remembering its purpose. Doors opened one by one. Screens blinked on, showing old Earth military. Files. Ayla walked past a panel marked Level 6 Restricted. The door wouldn't open. She placed her hand on it. The steel shifted, scanning her palm. Then a cold voice echoed. Welcome, Subject 0. Codename, Dreamwake. Vorin's eyes widened. Subject 0? Yes, Ayla said, stepping through the now open door. I wasn't the first of many. I was the only one that worked. The rest ... failed. They entered a chamber lined with empty capsules. Each one had a name now faded. Some showed damage, cracks, scorch marks, even signs of explosion. Why? Would they keep you? Viorin asked. They didn't want me. They were afraid to erase me. Because of your speed. No, Ayla replied quietly. Because of what happens when I fully wake. Suddenly, a panel near the wall lit up with a pulse. A signal had just gone out, not from the base, but to it. Ayla rushed to the console. Her fingers moved fast, faster than anyone could follow. She brought up the source of the signal. It came from the outer ring, she said. An old satellite Earth military, long dead. But it's speaking again. Bjorn leaned over. What does it say? Ayla, read the message aloud. Activation request. Subject 0 command key. Dreamwake protocol trigger status. Override ACCPT'd. Her face turned pale. No, she said. That's not possible. That key should be locked forever. The countdown screen changed. It sped up. Now it read, 26 hours remaining. Someone just woke it up early, Ayla whispered. Who? Bjorn asked. I don't know, she replied. But they had clearance, Earth-level clearance. And if they activated the override, it means they want me to finish something I never started. Hours later, Ayla sat in a private room. The lights were low. She stared at her hands like they belonged to someone else. Bjorn entered quietly. I know you're not sleeping. No, she said. I don't sleep like others. I see things. What things? Things that haven't happened, or maybe they already have. He sat across from her. Who were you before all this? I was born in a lab, Ayla replied. Trained inside a box. Taught to read time like others read books. I didn't learn to speak first. I learned to listen, not with ears, but with instinct. Did they ever let you leave? No, not until the day they locked me away, said I was unstable. Said I would break the galaxy if I woke up fully, and now I'm awake. Back. In the control room, the base trembled slightly. Alarms lit up. The scanners picked up movement beneath the base. Something was rising. Ayla arrived before anyone called her. She already knew. It's not just a memory, she said. They left. A gate below. A sealed chamber. A gate to what? To the others, not the failed ones. The lost ones. The ones who dreamed ... but never woke. The base rumbled again. A deep voice echoed through the halls. Not from speakers. From the walls themselves, Dreamwake detected. All systems open. Subject 0. Complete your mission, Bjorn shouted. What mission? What does it want from you? Ayla stood still, eyes glowing faintly again. To decide the future of this galaxy. You can't do that alone. I was never alone, she said. I just didn't remember until now. The ground below the base split open. A platform rose, covered in glowing blue lights. At the center was a machine, ancient, half-organic. Yla walked toward it. The moment she touched it, her body lifted slightly off the ground. Energy flowed through her skin. The screens in the base flickered violently. She saw visions, humans. Not from this century, but before. Soldiers in black. Scientists. And her. Always her. The final memory came like a whisper. Ayla, if you ever wake, remember your code. Her lips moved on their own. Codename Dreamwake. The machine accepted the phrase. A screen opened. Inside was a list of choices. Reboot system, end protocol, rewrite future. Everyone shouted behind her. What are you doing? She turned to him with tears in her eyes. They built me to end wars before. They started to stop destruction before it reached Earth. But they didn't trust what that power could become. So they locked me away, and now I have to choose. If I'll become the weapon they feared, or something else. Ayla looked at the screen. Her hand hovered over the last option. She pressed it. Rewrite. Future. The light from the machine spread across the room, then into the base, then up to orbit. A quiet hum filled the air. Above Mars, satellites blinked off. Ships froze in place. Every system that once depended on time failed. Ayla stepped back. The world was quiet. She turned to Viorin. It's done. What did you do? I took away their clocks. Now no one moves faster than thought. No one strikes before peace is offered. For the first time. The galaxy has to wait. Viorin stared at her. And what about you? She smiled sadly. I'll still move. But now ... only if I must. And then like mist, Isla faded from sight. No alarm. No sound. Just the memory of a girl they built to move before time. And the name burned into the stars. Dreamwake. The room was quiet. Too quiet. A digital clock blinked. 14 o'clock in red above the steel door. There was no ticking sound. No echo of movement. Just silence, thick, strange, and still. Dr. Kira Lane stood in front of a black table with her arms crossed, eyes locked on the small silver device glowing in the center. It was shaped like a ring, no bigger than a coin, and pulsing with soft blue light. This is it? Asked Commander Vos, walking into the room. His boots echoed, the only sound that dared to exist. Yes, Kira said, her voice calm but tense. The Timebreaker. The first of its kind. Vos leaned over the table. Looks harmless. It's not, she replied. 1 second too long, and it breaks reality apart. Vos raised an eyebrow. You're saying this little ring can control time? Kira nodded. Not control. Tear. It finds a moment any moment and breaks through it. Like a hole punched in the timeline. He looked uneasy. What happens after that? Kira glanced down. We don't know. But something always comes through. They both turned as Agent Nico entered the lab, breathless. It's happening again, he said, panic in his eyes. Room 6. Another ripple. Kira grabbed the Timebreaker, slipped it into a secure case, and nodded at Vos. We move now. As they hurried down the hallway, the fluorescent lights above flickered for a split second, then froze. Everyone stopped. Did that just... Nico began. The lights blinked and didn't return, Vos whispered. Time isn't flowing right. Kira opened the case. I need 5 minutes. I have to tune the breaker to this ripple's frequency. They reached room 6. The glass windows were shattered from the inside. Everything inside was suspended literally. Chairs floating, dust frozen midair, and a technician hovering motionless. Mid-step. It's like time paused, Nico said, staring in disbelief. No, Kira corrected. It's not paused, it's looping. Over and over. Faster than we can see. Vos held his gun up. Are they aware in there? Only if they're moving faster than light, she said grimly. Which is impossible. For humans. Just then, the technician blinked. Once. Kira gasped. That's not our tech. Suddenly, the door of room 6 creaked open slowly. No one touched it. Everyone pointed their weapons forward. Out stepped a woman. Pale skin. Silver eyes. No suit, no gear. Just a faint hum around her body like she was covered in living energy. Who are you? Vos demanded. She tilted her head. You don't remember me? No, Kira said. We've never met. The woman looked sad. Of course not. That hasn't happened for you yet. What does that mean? Nico asked. I am from your future, she said softly. From a future where this, she pointed at the Timebreaker in Kira's hand, destroys everything. Vos narrowed his eyes. How did you get here? I broke time, she said. But not the way you did. I became part of the timeline itself. I moved between seconds. You think your Timebreaker can control this? It's a toy. Kira stepped forward. Then help us. Tell us what went wrong. The woman's expression turned cold. I've tried. I've been here before. You didn't listen. She raised her hand. The Timebreaker case began to float. Kira held onto it tightly. Stop, Kira shouted. You'll break this moment. It's already broken, the woman whispered. You just haven't seen the cracks yet. A pulse of energy rushed through the corridor. Nico fell to his knees. Vos fired. But the bullet froze mid-air. Then everything snapped back. Time moved. The dust fell. The technician inside room 6 collapsed. Kira opened her eyes. The woman was gone. The timebreaker was still in her hand, now humming louder. She was telling the truth, Kira said. We've already broken something. Vos looked pale. So what now? We track her, Kira said. If she came through time, there's a path. And if there's a path, we follow. Nico stood up. To do what? Kira stared at the glowing ring. To find the moment this all falls apart, and stop it before it ever happens. But even as she spoke, the timebreaker flashed just once, and somewhere far ahead in the future. Someone blinked back. The council's hall was cold, silent, and so wide that a whisper would echo for minutes. 17 alien leaders sat in tall chairs, each from a different species, different star system, but all looked worried. She must be erased, said Counselor Viarn of the Zorthic Dominion, his voice deep and sharp. She is not a mistake, she is a weapon. The hologram floating in the center of the room showed her again, Elara Wynn, the human who didn't just dodge lasers but move before they fired. She broke temporal rules, another counselor growled, thumping the table. No being should be faster than time. Counselor Brack from the Kirvel species stared with cold eyes. Even the timebreakers couldn't predict her movements. That means she's beyond prediction. That makes her dangerous. But she's human, said a younger counselor. Voice hesitant. They never had time control tech. Exactly. Viarn snapped. She's not just human anymore. The experiment on Mars changed her. Dreamwake protocol was not destroyed. Someone activated it. The room froze. Silence, tension, Dreamwake was a buried project sealed 50 years ago. It was meant to enhance reaction speed beyond neural limits. The tech was too unstable. Most test subjects melted from the inside, but not Elara. She survived. And evolved, Brack murmured. Viarn stood. Council motion, immediate erasure of Elara Wynn. Any system aiding her shall be classified as hostile. They all voted. Only one voice said no. Far across space, Elara stood on the bridge of a stolen council scout ship. Lights blinked across her screen. She wasn't alone. General Knox, her only surviving commander, watched the message with tight lips. The council just labeled you a cosmic threat. I saw that coming, Elara said flatly, adjusting the controls. Funny, considering they built the tech that made me. Knox crossed his arms. They'll hunt you, I know. They'll erase anyone helping you. She looked at him. I know, she said again. He sighed, stepping back. Then we better move fast. The stars outside shifted. The stolen ship slipped into stealth warp, jumping between broken satellites and dead zones. They couldn't outrun the council forever, but they could stay unpredictable. On the council homeworld, a small figure watched the leaders from the shadows. Agent Ryla, of the Resistance, whispered into her cum. They're scared of her. They don't understand her. That's why they'll destroy everything to erase her. She listened. The voice on the other end was clear. Protect Elara, at all costs. She's the last key. The last key to what? Ryla wondered. To peace or to war? Back in deep space, Elara closed her eyes. For a moment, everything froze. She wasn't meditating. She was listening to the space around her, to the timelines, to something deeper. Time slowed. Then, in a whisper, it spoke to her, not in words, in pulls, in nudges. Elara opened her eyes. They've sent someone, she said. Knox looked up from the console. Already? Before he could speak again, red lights flared. A signal spike hit the radar fast and sharp. Warp interrupter, Knox said. Interceptor, Elara corrected. A long black vessel shimmered into space before them. No markings, no signals. Just sleek metal and death. Knox cursed. That's a council shadow ship. designed for one thing: kills. The ship didn't send a warning. It just opened fire. The blast roared, bright and vicious. Alara didn't dodge. She moved before it fired. Time warped around her fingers as she twisted the ship's path milliseconds ahead. The beam missed by nothing. How did you? I felt it coming, she said. A second shot. A third. Alara bent through them like water moving before the blade. Nox looked at her, stunned. You're not reacting. You're rewriting. Alara didn't respond. Her pupils shimmered, faintly glowing. I think I'm done hiding. She flipped a switch. The console responded to her touch instantly. The council's shadow. Ship was powerful, but Alara wasn't fighting with speed. She was fighting with time. Within 3 seconds, the shadow ship vanished in a white pulse. Not destroyed. Not exploded. Erased. Ilara sat back. Nox stared. What did you do? She whispered. I took it out. Before it ever fired. A chill passed through the room. Across the galaxy, in the council chamber, red alarms blinked. Counselor Viren shot up. We've lost contact with Ship X. No. Brack stood slowly. Then we are too late. Someone whispered, we created a goddess. But Viren shook his head. No, we created something worse. A wild card. Back aboard her ship, Alara closed her eyes again. The timelines around her whispered louder now. Not one path, but many. Some ended in fire, others in peace. But all of them ran through her. I didn't ask for this, she muttered. Nox looked at her. You sure you still want to run? She turned. No, she said. I want answers. The engines flared. They didn't jump away this time. They jumped toward the heart of council space. Alara had been labeled for erasure, but she wasn't going to be erased. She was going to erase the lie that started everything. The sky above the Martian colony shimmered like heat waves rising off metal, but this shimmer wasn't heat. It was light. And it followed her. They're watching again, Alara whispered, pressing her palm to the cold glass of the observation dome. Light can't watch, said Jax, her engineer and closest friend. It reflects, bends, but it doesn't think. Then why does it move when I move? He stared at her reflection. The shimmer outside, like silver threads dancing in slow motion, shifted again, just slightly to center on her silhouette. Okay. Jax admitted. That's new. She turned to him. We have to leave the dome. Now? Yes. I want to test something. They stepped into the red dust outside. Mars was quiet, always quiet, like the planet was holding its breath. But today, the silence felt too heavy. Alara walked first, slowly. The shimmer followed, ghost-like, stopping when she did, inching closer when she moved again. It's attached to your heat signature, maybe? Jax guessed. No, she said softly. It started after the Dreamwake protocol, remember? Jax stiffened. That name hadn't been spoken in weeks. Not since the failed experiment that left 6 crew members catatonic and 1 dead. Alara, you weren't supposed to activate the second sequence. I didn't, she said. Her voice trembled. It activated me. The shimmer suddenly pulsed. Jax stepped back. That wasn't light. That was a signal. They ran, back to the habitat. The dust swirled behind them as if something chased them, even though nothing made a sound. Inside, alarms were already blaring. System error. Unidentified energy presence detected. Alara sat at the command console. Her fingers moved quickly. It's in the system now. It's scanning everything. Power, life support, even memories. What? Jax blinked. Memories? She looked at him. When I was inside Dreamwake, I didn't see data. I saw moments, my mother's voice, a star I named as a child. I think it learned who I was. Jax backed away. That's not a program. That's something else, something alive. Not alive, she corrected. But it's learning, following. The shimmer now passed through the dome. It no longer respected walls. "Alira," said a voice. Jock spun. The voice didn't come from any speaker. It came from the light. "Alira," it repeated. "You moved before they blinked." She froze. "What did you say?" "Dream, wake, ... time shifted." "Your mind opened." "You are the doorway." "I don't want to be a doorway." The light grew brighter. It wrapped around her like threads of gold. Jock shouted, but couldn't get close. "Alira!" Her eyes burned, not with pain, but with knowledge. Flashes of other stars, ancient languages, plans buried deep inside the Martian crust. "They were here," she whispered. "Before us." "Before anything." Jock stared at her. "What's they?" She turned, her eyes glowing faintly. "Not gods. Not aliens. Light ... with memory. Light that chooses." "Chooses what?" She looked at the shimmer, now calm and hovering near her shoulder like a waiting companion. "Hosts." Jock trembled. "Why?" "You?" "Because I saw them in the dream wake. And I didn't blink." Suddenly, screens flickered. Not with errors, but with coordinates. A map deep under the Martian surface. "What is that?" Jock asked. "Their vault," Alira said. "A vault of light." The shimmer shot downward, vanishing into the ground. Alira followed, her steps sure. "You coming?" She asked. Jax hesitated. "What if we're opening something that should stay closed?" She smiled calm, eerie, certain. "Then maybe it's time the darkness learned what light can do." He followed her down into the dust. Below them, ancient circuits hummed awake. The buried heart of Mars began to glow. For the first time in history, light had chosen a human dot, and it was just getting started. The room was silent. No hum of machines. No voices. Just a heartbeat hers. Commander Rana stood in the center of the shielded control dome, looking at the data rushing down the main screen. Every calculation said the same thing. "They'll arrive in 12 seconds, whispered Arlen, the young tech officer, gripping his console like it might break. "No," Rana replied calmly, her voice steady. "They already arrived." At that moment, the lights flickered. Outside the dome, the sky above Earth's orbit shimmered, then cracked open like a glass mirror. The Council's war fleet, tall, cold, and deathly silent, slid out of space like a shadow escaping light. 50 ships. Each could erase a continent. "They're here," gasped Arlen. "What do we do?" Rana didn't turn. She blinked slowly, then said, "Now ... we let her move." Down below, hidden beneath the ruins of New Madrid, in the deepest level of Facility 9, Subject 11 stood in silence. The air around her buzzed, heavy with tension. Wires ran from her wrists to the surrounding chamber. Lights pulsed red. The door behind her opened. Dr. Kira Hassan walked in, her steps unsure. "Do you hear them?" she asked softly. Subject 11 didn't answer. She stared straight ahead. Her eyes didn't blink. Her breath was slow. "They think they've already won," Kira continued. "But they don't understand what you are." "I don't think they ever will," Subject 11 finally spoke. Her voice was soft, flat, and terrifying, on the orbital. Fleet, the Supreme Commander of the Council forces, leaned forward, puzzled. Why has Earth not responded? His second-in-command, a tall reptilian officer, tilted his head. "Perhaps they surrender." "No, humanity doesn't surrender." Back in the dome, Rana gave a nod. Arlen hesitated. "Ma'am?" "She's ready," Rana said. "Let her loose." Kira spoke softly into the comlink. "Initiate Dreamwake Final Protocol." Subject 11 smiled. Then moved. From orbit, all sensors failed at once. The stars blinked out. Gravity twisted. And within 1 second, 35 Council warships exploded simultaneously, without sound, without warning. They didn't even have time to raise shields. Supreme Commander Vila's eyes widened. "What is happening?" His screens showed only static. Ship after ship vanished from his fleet formation, no trace left behind. The command deck shook violently. He turned to his crew, but they were frozen, unable to speak. "She's inside," whispered the helmsman, his voice shaking. "In where?" Vala demanded. "Inside us." Subject 11 wasn't on Earth anymore. She wasn't in orbit. She was everywhere. Doctor. Kira, still watching the vitals, stared in disbelief as all markers vanished. No location, no heartbeat. Just one word on the screen. Executing. On Earth. Rana stood quietly as the Council fleet fell apart above the sky like glass dropped from space. "She's rewriting time," Arlen whispered. "No," Rana corrected. "She's breaking it." The final 10 ships tried to run. Their engines flared. Warp drives engaged, but time did not move. In fact, they didn't move at all. To observers, the ships were still like statues. No energy, no heat. Just frozen. She moved before they even blinked. Arlen murmured, eyes wide. In the void, Subject 11 reappeared inside the last ship. The lights flickered. The crew screamed in panic, trying to fire weapons, call for help, flee. But time was broken here. Their movements were meaningless. She tilted her head, calmly observing them. "You erased my sister," she whispered. Then she closed her eyes. And the ship vanished. Back in Facility 9, Kira watched as Subject 11 returned to the platform, blood dripping from her nose. Her voice trembled. "Do you remember your name now?" Subject 11 sat down slowly. "Yes," she said. "My name was Ava. My sister was Elia." Kira swallowed. "They erased her from time." "They tried," Ava whispered. "But I found the echo. And I made them feel it." Up above, the Council's fleet was gone. Not destroyed, removed. No debris, no remains. As if it had never existed, Rana stood quietly, the weight of silence pressing around her. "Is it over?" Kira answered from the comm link. "Yes, she left only one message." "What was it?" Kira paused. Then she said, "Don't blink." "I won't."